Practical tips on ICF 8 core competencies development. So, in this small presentation video, what I am doing, each slide has one core competency in the series of 1 to 8. I'm going to explain you how can you further develop these competencies in 4 sections. Section number 1 is related to the ideology. Section number 2 is related to your own discipline. Section number 3 is do's in the coaching process, what you will follow. And section number 4 is what you should do in your coaching practice. So in CC1, which is demonstrate ethics, the first is study and follow ICF code of ethics. ICF website has all the information. Our coach study guide has all the information. Always respect and follow confidentiality and maintain distinction with other professionals, that is mentors, consultants, psychotherapists, and refer client to them as and when appropriate. So these are the critical aspect of you demonstrating ethical practice, for which you have to develop your own code. What are your own principles and ethical code? Consider that if your coaching conversation recording gets published on YouTube, have you done the right things in a coaching conversation so that if the entire world sees it, they will feel that yes, you are following the ICF code of conduct? Consider that if your mentor is observing your coaching conversation, will the mentor appreciate your coaching conversation? Will the mentor say that yes, you are following ICF code of ethics, MML code of ethics? What are the do's in the coaching process with reference to the CC1, which is demonstrating ethical practice? So always start your coaching conversation with a confidentiality statement. Respect privacy of your client. Always ask permission from the client. Do not direct or order or control the client or assume his or her consent. Always ask, would you like to explore this? Would you like to do this? Can I do this? Ask permission from the client. Why? Because we are partners. Always wear only one hat. Coach hat during the coaching conversation. You can be consultant, you can be mentor as well. But during the coaching conversation, you are only a coach, not a consultant, not a mentor. In your another consultancy assignment, you can wear a consultant's hat and then follow the methodology of consultancy. But in a coaching session, you have to wear only one hat, that is coach hat. What you should do in your coaching practice? Now, I'm not going to repeat this. When I say the coaching practice, it is a combination of your practice during your buddy coaching, in observed coaching sessions in GCCP, during the synchronous sessions, there are many practice sessions, and of course, after the GCCP, you are joining the YML CMC and you are having the peer coaching as well as the external coaching sessions there. So when I say the coaching practice, I mean all the avenues of the coaching practice. What you have to do? You have to follow the right habit, right practice of following ethical code. So your countdown starts now. As soon as you take admission to the coaching program, you start following ICF code of ethics in each and every coaching conversation and your behavior. So this is how you improve on the CC1, which is demonstrates ethical practice. Now CC2, coaching mindset. What is the ideology behind the coaching mindset? Coaching mindset is a mindset of a learner and a seeker. When you wear a coach hat, you are in the role of a coach. Now it is not about you as a person or individual. It is all about you as a coach. It is not about your personal values and belief systems or your personal opinion and personal experience and your personal agenda. It is all about coaches. Coaches' values, coaches' strengths, coaches' belief system, coaches' worldview, coaches' experience and coaches' agenda. Respect your client, that is coach's autonomy. This is the ideology behind the coaching mindset. And what discipline you have to follow to develop the coaching mindset? Engage in ongoing, continual learning and development. Your learning can never stop. Keep aside, always keep aside your baggage. Because many times more the experience, more the baggage is, unfortunately. Keep aside your opinions and personal experience during the coaching conversation. Always be open, flexible and curious about who the client is and how can client maximize his or her potential. Continually reflect on your coaching sessions, coaching practice. Why? To further enhance it, to offer best value and facilitating clients' growth. That is the discipline you have to follow to continually develop your coaching mindset. What are the do's in coaching process to further develop your coaching mindset? Acknowledge and respect clients' unique identity, talents, values, beliefs and strengths. Appreciative inquiry. Acknowledge and respect and appreciate. In the coaching, the who as well as what, both are important. Who the client is the topmost importance. At the same time, what the client is seeking is also important. So you cannot ignore anything. It is the who as well as what on which you have to partner with the client. Do not have the misconception that coach means you cannot share or observe. You can share, but without any attachment. Your observations, metaphors, use metaphors. It's a very powerful tool to evoke awareness. You can share stories, examples, your own thoughts and feelings, but always without any attachment to invite clients' exploration. That is the value addition you can do if required, when required. So these are the do's in coaching process for developing your coaching mindset. And what you should do in coaching practice? Utilize MML coaching log format. Why? Because it has variety of the fields where you can punch in your reflections. What you have to reflect on? What can be further enhanced in your coaching practice? What CCs you have to further hone? And what coach behaviors, that is PCC markers, you should further work on. That is what you have to reflect on after each and every coaching session. Only that can result into you continually developing and enhancing your coaching mindset. CC3, establishes and maintains agreement. What is the crux of CC3? The CC is a combination of you having a relationship agreement, contract with the client, and you having a session agreement, a session goal for each and every coaching conversation. So these are the three aspects of core competency, establishes and maintains agreement. So the relationship agreement includes the expectation setting and setting boundaries. And it has to be initiated from the very first discovery session. And your coaching contract with the client has to cover the overall objective of the coaching assignment. So this is the crux. And what is the discipline you have to follow, especially during each session? Each session to follow CODAP, MML coaching process. And session agreement for that particular session, consider that if it is a 60-minute session, then the session agreement should be finalized in approximately 25% of the time. I am just giving you the ballpark figure for your understanding. So if the session is for the 60 minutes, in approximately 15 minutes time, you have to finalize the session agreement. Why? So that you have the ample time to evoke awareness and co-design the action plan. Always check the relation of your overall coaching assignments objective and the current session goal. Because everything is anchored towards your overall coaching assignments goal. What are the do's of CC3 during the coaching process? They are actually the 4 PCC markers. The coachee has to reconfirm, client has to reconfirm the session goal, client has to reconfirm the measures of success for that particular session. You have to check on the importance and the meaningfulness, that is the larger picture of the session goal for the client. And client has to communicate to you that is what needs to be addressed, allowing client to achieve what he or she wants to achieve. So these are the 4 do's in your coaching process, in your each coaching conversation. And what you have to do in your coaching practice? Just follow these 4 PCC markers. In each and every coaching conversation, that is how you inculcate habit, right habit. CC4, cultivating trust and safety. What is the ideology behind this CC? What is the why behind this CC? Coaching is an intense conversation between a coach and a coachee. It is an intense conversation. And when can intense conversation and a deep level sharing possible? If there is a safety and trust. Otherwise it is not possible. So the trust and safety is a foundation without which coaching conversation is not possible. And what is the discipline you have to follow to further develop the trust and safety? Always believe, that is in NLP there are presuppositions, right? They are the right beliefs. What is the right belief you need to have to further develop trust and safety with your client? Always believe that the client is competent, has high potential, and has much higher knowledge about his or her own life. Respect the whole person of the client. This is the belief system. This is the belief system what you need to inculcate as a coach. Always believe that the client's worldview and the beliefs are right for the client if they are working for him or her. It is not important whether they are matching with yours or not. What is important, if they are working for the client, they are right for the client. Client is a unique individual, and acknowledge that uniqueness. What are the do's during the coaching process related to the CC4? Be authentic, be vulnerable. You don't have to know it all. If you don't know it, express it. You are partnering with the coachee. You are not mentoring coachee. You are not guiding coachee. You are not teaching coachee. You are at an equal pedestal with the coachee. Be authentic, be vulnerable. That only will generate trust. Demonstrate ethical practice, demonstrate integrity and respect confidentiality and privacy of the client. That is how you create safety. And utilize appreciative inquiry, what you are learning in our positive psychology session. Acknowledge the work, talent, strengths, emotions and the feelings of your client. But do not validate or get immersed into client's emotions. Acknowledgement is different and validation and getting immersed into it is different. Acknowledge the feelings, acknowledge the emotions, but do not get drowned into the client's emotions or the feelings. So these are the do's in the coaching process to develop trust and safety. And what you should do in your coaching practice? What right habit you have to inculcate? Always first develop connection with the client, know the client below the waterline. Remember the iceberg model, and create a safe and supporting environment. How? By following the principles of positive psychology, what you have learned or you will learn in our positive psychology session. So this is how you develop the CC4, cultivating trust and safety. Now the CC5, maintains presence. What is the ideology behind maintaining presence? In my sessions, I have given you example of Sinhasan of King Vikramaditya, Raja Bhoj, King Vikramaditya. So when someone is in the vicinity of that particular throne, that someone becomes wise. That is maintaining presence. Coaching is about partnering with the whole person of the client. Why? Why partnering with the whole person of the client? Because the ultimate objective of the coaching intervention is to facilitate client's growth. And unless coach is fully present in the session, unless coach is curious, unless coach is fully focused only on the client, coach can't fulfill his duty. And what is the discipline you have to maintain for maintaining presence? Before every session, for a few minutes, meditate. Come to the moment. Whatever is happening in your life, manage your emotions before the session as well as during the session. Be mindful. You are there for the client. You are wearing a hat of a coach. You are responsible for the growth of the client. It's a joint responsibility. You cannot absolve yourself from the responsibility of adding value to the client's growth. You are partnering with the client to facilitate client's growth. And that is possible if you are fully present, physically, emotionally, mindfully. And if it is not possible for you due to any event in your personal or professional life, please do not conduct the session. Postpone it. But when you are conducting the session, you have to be mindful. You have to give your best. You have to manage your emotions. That is the discipline of maintaining presence. During the coaching conversation, do not just ask question after questions. Take a pause after every expression, every communication from the client. Take a pause. Take a purposeful pause. Inculcate a discipline to have a pause after client completing what he or she is saying. Reflect on it during the pause. Also allow the client to reflect during that pause, and then only further communicate or inquire. This is the discipline for maintaining presence. And what are the do's during the coaching process for developing a competency of maintaining presence? Like NLP anchor, right? So we are learning in NLP that there is an anchor. So wear a coach hat. So imagine that before start of the session, you are actually wearing an invisible coach hat, and once you are wearing that coach hat, you are in the role of a coach. You are not that particular person, but you are a coach, and now you will feel a different presence. You will feel a presence of a coach. Let your client set the agenda and choose what happens during the session, but always have an eye on the long-term objective of your coaching assignment and the session's agreed goal. You are watching the session, you are monitoring the session. For whom? For the client. For what agenda? Client's agenda. For the session's goal. But you are basically steering, maneuvering such that you are not going away from the overall objective of the coaching assignment and that particular session's goal. That is how you maintain your presence as a coach. Utilize the power of pause and silence. That is the most critical competency of coach and coach maintaining presence. And what you have to do during the coaching practice? to further develop the competency, maintaining presence. So one important tip, I am absolving yourself from all the performance pressure. Do not take any performance pressure. No, I am a coach and now I am wearing a coach hat and I must offer result to the coachee. It is not your job. Your role as a coach just to be there fully, just be present there emotionally, mentally, physically, and just focus on the client. Demonstrate curiosity about the client and create a space for client's reflection. Once you follow this process, the result is automatic. You don't have to worry on the result. You don't have to worry on the performance. Just be there. Just maintain your presence as a coach. That is what you have to do in your all types and kinds of coaching practices. CC6, listens actively. What is the ideology behind listening actively? So this is my metaphor. I have created this metaphor. The coachee, the client is the director, actor and story writer of the movie you are watching. You are watching the movie. And who is your client? Director, lead actor as well as the story writer. And what is your role as a coach? This is a metaphor. So take the lesson from this metaphor. What is the role of a coach? Is to watch and listen. Be present and listen. Your role as a coach is to create an environment for the client to express, flow and become more and more aware. Remember this metaphor and follow this 80-20 rule. 80% of the time client has to speak. Up to 20% of the time you have to speak. Of course, I'm not recommending that you measure it. But in high majority of the time, it is the client's show. It is the client's movie. Who is client? Director, actor, story writer. Give him all the space. This is the ideology behind listening actively. And what discipline? Many times people use some word, growth. I want to grow as a human being. But what is the definition of a growth of your client and what is coach definition might be different. Word is same, but the perceived meaning from the client and from the coach can be different. So always check on what exactly client is meaning by that particular word or phrase. That is how you connect with the client. That is how you understand the client. Do not assume the meaning of the word. Your vocabulary will be different. The feelings and the thoughts behind use of those particular words in most of the cases are different. Once client says something and expects coach to continue, take it forward. First take a pause. Do not immediately react or respond. Then in most of the cases rephrase or summarize what client has said. And during this particular rephrasing, use some of the keywords, exact keywords what client has used during the communication. That is how you reframe, you rephrase and you align whether you coach and the client are on the same page. That is how you display that you are listening actively and intently. Reflective listening. And what are the do's during the coaching process for the CC6? When I say the listen and observe combined in the digital world, many times, right, you are observing on screen. Many times it is possible that you are not personally meeting the client. So your observation skills have to be of the top of the notch. So listen and observe to what? To first connect with the client. Because unless you connect with the client is not going to share anything with you. So the listen and observe to connect, for which you have to apply this. What is the behavioral profile of the client? You have to take the essence from the NLP communication model. Is there any distortion, generalization? Is there any deletion? Use NLP meta model for your questioning and inquiry to understand. And who has to understand? It is not for your understanding. You are creating an environment where client will understand more and more. So you are facilitating client's understanding process. Listen and observe to understand why client wants what client wants. Why? Motive, purpose, intention behind what client needs, wants. That is what you have to understand and listen to. Listen to reflect. Do not listen to ask next question. Listen to reflect. Your inquiry, your next question must be based on the conversation flow, not any checklist, not any PCC markers. You need to get immersed into the coaching conversation, and there is a flow of the coaching conversation, and the flow of the coaching conversation will decide the direction of your questioning. Not coach study guide, not PCC markers, not your checklist. And what you have to do during your coaching practice, all types and kinds of the coaching practice, that inculcate the right habit by always being cognizant of not only what coach is saying or thinking or meaning, but also what coach is feeling. And how you will observe that, how you will listen to that? By looking for the changes in coach's energy level, tone, temper, and pace. NLP rapport building. This is how you have to listen and observe. It is not only what coach is saying, but also what coach is not saying. It is not only what coach is thinking and meaning, but it is what coach is feeling. So this habit, this observation is what you have to follow during your coaching practice. CC7, evoking awareness. What is the belief? What is the right belief or the presupposition you need to have? What is the why behind evoking awareness? I always say this, if the client is fully aware about what is the real problem, real issue, or the real goal, client will find the solution and achieve it. And client in the first place will not even approach the coach. Client has approached you means more clarity is needed. More clarity on what the real problem or the real goal is and what needs to be done. So the more clarity is needed in and around the problem and the goal. And thus evoking awareness is essential part of the coaching. Without evoking awareness, there is no coaching. What is the discipline? Do not ask questions to collect information. That is wastage of time. You are not the information seeker. You have to inquire. You have to ask questions to create clarity and elicit new insights for the coachee, client. That is the objective of the questioning. Objective is not that coach wants to understand, coach wants more information. No. Coach is asking powerful questions and coach is inquiring to create clarity for the client, to the client, to elicit new insight to the client, for the client. That is the purpose of asking powerful questions. And when appropriate, do not hesitate in sharing your observations, metaphor, stories, example, thoughts and feelings, but without attachment. It is the coachee who has the choice for the learnings from that metaphor, example or simile. Coachee is empowered to take what coachee feels right for his or her own life. So you are sharing without any attachment. And you must master the art of root cause analysis and 5 why analysis, what you have already learned in our coaching process and during our coach competency session, evoking awareness. You must go to the root of the problem. What is the real problem? What is the root? And you have to always work on the root and not the stated problem. Because if the stated problem is the right problem, in the first place, coachee would not have come to you. Neurological levels, you have to go below the stated level, above the stated level, and you have to go to the right level to address and define the problem. So you have to use techniques like neurological levels, root cause analysis, 5 why technique. This is the discipline you have to follow to develop your core competency evoking awareness. And what are the do's for a coach during the coaching process? Ask questions not only on current level of thinking, wants and feelings of the coachee, but beyond that. Current level is also important, but current level only is not important. You have to go beyond the current level. You have to support client to reframe, reflect and go beyond the current problem or current goal and look at the new ways, new choices and the larger picture and new possibilities. That is the role of a coach in the coaching process. And ask primarily, if not 100% of the time, in very high majority of the time, you have to ask open-ended, one-liner, simple questions. And you have to allow client to do most of the talking. Then only client will reflect and client will get that awareness. It is the client who has to drive the vehicle. Then only client will learn and get awareness. And what you have to do in your all types and kinds of coaching practices? Ensure that minimum 50% of the coaching sessions time you are devoting towards the CODAP coaching process discover phase, that is evoking awareness phase. For example, in a 60-minute coaching conversation, around 30 minutes, I'm just giving the ballpark figure for your understanding. Around 30 minutes should be spent on evoking awareness because that is the major value addition of a coach. And after the session, always reflect on what new awareness has been created during the session and were there any missed opportunities. This reflection only allow you to further refine and develop this competency evoking awareness and for that matter any other competency as well. The last competency CC8, facilitating clients' growth. What is the ideology behind the client's growth? So I always talk about the metaphor. Giving fish to eat or supporting client in developing skills to catch fish. The role of a coach is to support client in developing skills to catch fish, in developing skills to solve problem, in developing skills and competences to grow in a right purposeful direction for his or her life. And what is the presupposition or a positive belief I want all of you to inculcate? That is the final destination of a coaching intervention is client's growth, full stop, literally full stop. That is the real intention behind the coaching intervention. Client's growth. And client's growth happens only when client takes action in the right direction. Without action, no growth is possible. It is only mental masturbation. No, action. So this is the ideology behind the client's growth. And what discipline you have to follow? There are two mindsets what you have to inculcate. You have to be disciplined in. Mindset of action and result orientation. Coaching is necessarily an action and result oriented intervention. It is not an intellectual discussion. It is a result and action oriented conversation, intense conversation. So the evoking awareness has a meaning only if coachee follows it with action. Action precedes growth. And the second mindset is mindset of respecting client's autonomy. It is the client who will decide the speed, frequency and intensity of the actions. It is the client scale, not coach scale. Coach should not think, no, client is so slow, client is fast. No, it is not for coach to judge. It is for the client to decide. Client is empowered on taking the action the way he or she wants to take action. Your role is to evoke awareness. Your role is to co-design the action plan so that you are facilitating the client's growth. You have your role. You do not set the target. You do not police or force or control the client. That is the discipline you have to follow for facilitating client's growth. And what are the do's in the coaching process, Kodak? Co-design the action plan with the client. Co-design. Not only ask client. Definitely do not tell client, okay, this is what you have to do. Both are extremes. You telling client that this is what you have to do, and client without any value addition from the coach is deciding what to do. So the golden mean is you co-design the action plan with the client. And at the end of the session, always invite client to summarize the learning from the session along with the next action steps. So the learning and what action client is going to take from that particular learning, that has to be the real culmination of each coaching conversation. You have to also partner with the client for a system to monitor the progress. How client is going to monitor the progress? Kodak. A is for action and P is for progress. Do not police the client, but partner with the client in the progress monitoring. And very important, not only for the positive psychology, but for the core competency development, facilitating clients' growth, always find opportunity, every small opportunity to celebrate every small success of the client and the progress what client is making from session to session. Find opportunities to celebrate, appreciate and utilize positive psychology during your coaching intervention. So this is the crux of how you will continually develop ICF 8 core competencies. Thank you.